Merit a little bit differently. I like that definition that Webster's dictionary gave. Quality deserving reward. Deserve means to have by conduct a claim to. I've been to court many, many, many times, and I can tell you, I can look back and see where I've had my wins, but I can also see where in the losses I had a particular transaction where I was trying to accomplish getting a certain body out of prison. The private, yeah, mine. I was a guest of the feds, and I'm so glad I went, because I got to discover so many things.
You got a little time.
Yeah, I got a little bit of time. About 8 years, 10 months. So, I did a contract with the warden. It says I'm entitled to be discharged together with my private property, forthwith, immediately. I filed it into a federal district court for a contract enforcement action. I got a contract, right? Want to make a claim. They responded immediately. 7 days later, they sent me a notice. Said they were going to construe it as a writ of habeas corpus. I says, very good. I sent back in, and they wanted to allow a magistrate judge to construe it. Got accepted. Sure, let's go. I need public ratification. 7 days later, after I sent in, they said 7 days later, they gave the government an order. Answer either the administrative procedures or the merits of the case. And I studied merits and all that, and I couldn't get it. I didn't know what merit meant at that time. And I obviously didn't get remedy either, and so it went along like this. The government then said, well, he did not do the administrative procedures of the Federal Bureau of Prisons, what's known as the BP 8, 9, 10, and 11. They stated a simple fact. They could have said he didn't get the warden's mother to approve it when she was baking cookies on Wednesday. They just stated a fact. Remember, they're not accusing you, just like Brandon said a minute ago. You've got to listen. They're not accusing you, and they didn't mean. They just said, he didn't do the BP 8, 9, 10, 11. Now, at that particular time, there was a unique individual at that compound who was an international law attorney, a genius, spoke 11 languages. He said, I want to help you with that. You've gotten that far. I want to help you. I said, great. And we put together the greatest argument on the planet. This guy was good.
Argument.
It was the best. You couldn't beat it. But that was door 4. I have 4 doors, but similar. Door 3. I argued. Man, we put in a beautiful argument. It was the best. The magistrate judge said, denied. I said, puh. We put in an objection to the magistrate's report. It was a beautiful argument. And the judge said, I'm going to overturn the magistrate's denial. I said, yes. Boy, we're good at this. And the judge said, but we're going to give the government a second bite at the apple and let them challenge the merits. I said, what? That's not fair. They said they were going to do this. I won. Yeah, right. No. So they attacked the merits. And you know what they said? He didn't do the BP 8, 9, 10, 11. I said, oh, we got him now. These guys are so dumb. Yeah, government's dumb like a fox. No, I'm going to tell you, if you don't respect this government, you're out of your mind. They're not good. They're beyond good. They're not running the world for nothing. They don't have us all baffled for nothing. They truly are extremely bright, beyond what you can imagine. They're controlling everything, are they not? Just go to the facts. Have respect. This government is a beautiful and, I contend, perfect government. And after you understand it, I hope you'll come to do the same feeling I have for them. I actually love them. I appreciate what they do, and thank God Almighty they're here. Or, like Brandon said, we wouldn't have anything left. So, here I am, BP 8, 9, 10, 11. God, we just won that argument. Before we had the best argument in the world. This time we put the best argument in the universe together. Man, I knew we were going to win this one. Yeah, we had them this time. We put that out, beautiful argument. I don't see how they could even win that. Magistrate judge said denied again. I said, we ain't got to worry about this. The judge will take care of it. This time the judge denied and dismissed the case with prejudice, couldn't refile. And I said, what? What did I do wrong? I didn't rail against the government because I go to a cardinal rule. They always do it right. They always do it right. No, he doesn't. I'm telling you, you haven't heard all the rest of the rules of the game. When you do, I think you will be as I am. They always do it right. And I said, okay. And for a week, I couldn't think of what did wrong. I said, you know what? I argued. And I realized all I had to simply do the whole time, and what Brandon keeps telling you, I put in a claim. Themis is going to weigh the claim. She can't see anything. There's a beautiful poem from 1840, Gascalaska J.S.C. I'll quote you, you'll really like. But she can't see anything but the claim. Did I stand to my claim? No, I argued. All the judge can see was the last thing up on the computer screen, so to speak. Picture an analogy like that. They said he didn't do the BP 8, 9, 10, 11. The judge is looking. Now we're coming to merits. Quality deserving reward, or have by conduct a claim to. Conduct. You're under God or you're under man. What did God tell you to do with your adversary in Matthew 5:25?
Agree quickly.
Oh, agree quickly. I did. I gave him 10 pages of agreeing not. So, I've subsequently learned, and I'm going to tell you, and I've probably been in about 40 cases, and I've won all of them. And in that one, no, I didn't win it, but I won because I learned what I had done wrong. The merit. The judge didn't give the government a second chance. Who did he give a second chance to come into honor?
You.
Me. And did I? No, I put the universal argument together with this genius guy who knew some of this stuff, but he was truly, as an attorney, just extraordinary. It's too bad I was buying everything he was saying. But I thought we had something going. But the merits. The judge wanted to see if I was going to go through door 3, as it's called. Was I going to argue? Yes, I did. So he was waiting to see if I'd simply, all I had to do, I look back on it, from the first time I put it in, when they said he didn't do the BP 8, 9, 10, and 11, all I had to do was a very simple conditional acceptance. I can, right across it, conditionally accepted, condition precedent, or upon proof of claim that the contract between the parties requires a BP 8, 9, 10, 11. Where's the judge going to get this information? He has to go to the contract that I have, right? It would come up on top, and now that's what he's seeing. He would then turn to the government and say, now what? It's their turn. I gave the hot potato back. That's all I had to do. So my behavior, that's merit. My conduct. Themis is going to weigh your claim. You have the private side, the contract, or the record or memorial of your agreement. It's written with that person. That's easy to get those. Enforcing them is another thing. So if you manage to get to a federal district court where you're going to enforce some types of contracts, otherwise you don't always have to. There's all sorts of neat things you can do. What are you going to do? Are you going to argue? The judge can only see what came up last. So Brandon's telling you, get yours back up. So when you make a question, they really need to come into harmony. So earlier you learned that law equals contract. Let me give you the little statement that underpins that. All law emanates from contract or agreement. Therefore, law is contract and contract is law. Or stated another way, contract equals law and law equals contract. If you were to give that statement study, ponder it, cogitate, contemplate, go look up the words, you're going to go, yeah, where else could law possibly come from if it's not by contract or agreement? Inclusio unius est exclusio alterius. The inclusion of one is the exclusion of another. When they say contract or agreement, those are two different things entirely, ladies and gentlemen. And you need to understand what contract and agreement are. He's explaining it to you. And if you can pick that up, what constitutes an agreement, what constitutes a contract. So Themis is there simply to weigh the claims. You have a public officer who is going to see if you merit a win. Have by conduct. And there's that great poem by Gascalaska Jape entitled Law, or it's entitled what?
Contract.
Contract. So where you hear the word law in this quote, put contract. And every time you see that word, as Brandon recommended you do, replace it with contract and see if it doesn't change the meaning. Thus, once law was sitting on the bench, and mercy knelt a-weeping. Clear out, he cried, disordered wench, nor come before me creeping. Upon your knees if you appear, 'tis clear you have no standing here. Then justice came. His honor cried, your status. Devil seize you. Amicus curiae, she replied. Friend of court, so please you. Begone, he shouted, there's the door. I never saw your face before. When contract is in there, don't go looking for mercy or justice as you understand it, because you don't understand justice in its true sense. After you study the word, then you'll understand it. The prosecutor filed a complaint or a claim, right? What did I go do? Went and hired an attorney. Of course, the Supreme Court said if you do that, you're going to be a mentally incompetent ward of the state, and anything you say or do doesn't mean anything.
Right.
Of course, I didn't know that. So I went out and I immediately commenced an argument. So we have two debtors. Here's one in complaining about this guy. They're a debtor. They gave it to the court. The court became a creditor. They accepted it. They said, hot potato, I got to get rid of this. They threw it over to me. So what do you want to do? I said, well, I want to get an attorney and argue. Great, come on in. And so now we have what? We have two debtors, and we have one creditor up on the bench. And the game goes on. You know, like Shakespeare told you, all the world is a stage, and all the men and women merely players. So what I do, I went up and played. You want to come out and play? Sure, I'll come out and play. Too bad I didn't know the rules. I'm recommending, as Brandon is, get the rules down. Once you get the rules, you're going to have a lot of fun. And it's critical you understand what merit is. It's going to be your conduct. And you have the greatest guide for it. The Bible has all of it in there for you. Matthew 5:25 says that. He talked about suretyship. Proverbs 11:15. He that is surety for a stranger shall smart for it. And he that hateth suretyship is sure. Sure? Yeah, that which cannot be doubted, questioned, or disputed. Are you arguing? Well, you're not very sure. Your remedy is your enemy. They're there to help you. He's told you that. I heard him say that before. Your remedy is your enemy. These people are there to give you your remedy. They go silent every time. What is silence? It's actually a little more technical. Tacit acquiescence. That's what they're doing. They're not so much being silent as there's a term for that called tacit acquiescence. And that's defined as happening without contract, but by operation of law. Operation of law? And that's defined as operation of law as the term expresses the manner in which rights and sometimes liabilities devolve upon a person by the mere application to the particular transaction of the established rules of law without the cooperation or act of the party himself. And you need to look up some of these words. And once you do and you internalize it, merits, tacit acquiescence, laches, estoppel, some of those basic words, the picture will get clear. And you will find remedy 100% of the time. And I will contend that you have been taught the remedy, and all of you have been getting remedy. You didn't finish the rest of the test, that's all. They agreed, as Brandon told you. They accepted your bond, promissory note, bill of exchange. It doesn't matter. I don't care if it's drawn on the Social Security number or drawn on the bond number on the back or my son's bond number that he makes up. If they accept it as a discharge of the debt by retaining something of value, then you have a contract. Can you enforce it? Or a latch is going to come in. Failure to do the required thing at the proper time. When you're doing paperwork, and it's a real quick, one last one, and I'll tend to get real wordy with it. I just love this stuff.
Let me insert something. Last week, after last week's class, we were up to what, 4 in the morning?
Yes.
Yeah, we were up till 4 in the morning doing this.
In common parlance, going to court is synonymous with going to trial. In common parlance, common conversation, going to court is synonymous going to trial. You look up, one of the definitions of court is the residence of a sovereign. Are you sovereign? Residence is where you are. So when you're sending papers back and forth between you, the CFO, or whomever, you're in court. What you don't realize is when you file into a federal district court trying to get public ratification, that's your first appellate court. That's an appellate court. What's allowed in an appeals court? Can you put any new evidence in? Anything like that? No. This is why the IRS, if they send you a few notices, and I will tell you that organization is a very fine organization. I'm not being facetious either. I'm telling you from the heart. They're good. They're legal. They're lawful. The 16th Amendment, all those patriot arguments is just so much door for. They're absolutely, let me ask you, what should you be allowed to do with your property? Tell me. Anything you want? If you want to eat McDonald's papers in your car and throw them in the car and spill the Coke in the car, it's your property. You should be able to do what you want. Do you believe that you should honor other people's right to do with their property? Yes. It's either yes or no. Good. Yes. But when you're a U.S. citizen and you took on suretyship, look out, because your property. Is it wrong for the government to do medical experiments on U.S. citizens? Not at all. It's not very well accepted. But that's okay. We'll cook you the rest of the way you've been being cooked. Throw a frog in a boiling pot of water, he hops out. You bring the boil up slowly and it's fine. Aldous Huxley did it for you. He told you in 1932 in the forward section of that book called Brave New World. In conjunction with the freedom to daydream under the influence of dope and movies and the radio, it will help to reconcile his subjects to the servitude which is their fate. Oh. Perfect. 1932? Yeah. Yes. You ought to hear what Teddy Roosevelt told you about sovereignty in 1907 in the opening of the Jamestown Exposition, April 26th. It's a rather lengthy one, but I won't quote it for you, but on another one we will. But under merits, if you can get the simplistic so you understand it. I read certain stuff and I can't understand what Blacks means by it. I got to go to Webster's or Bouvier's or Random House or some little paperback. Some of my best stuff has come out of paperback dictionaries, Webster's, not law dictionaries. So, merits. You're going to get your second chance. Now, right now, in your acceptance for values, you're rocking along. You got an agreement, and now they're testing you with a phone call or a piece of paper. Don't worry, the tests are going to get heavier. You may get some people at your door one day. Are you ready? If you're not ready, what are you doing this process? Kind of like driving. Please learn all the things and then, get a little bit at a time. But these seminars and learning, it's not, I tell people, unless you're willing to put at least a little bit of time, a couple, 2-3 hours, at least 4 days a week to get your rocket ship off the ground, get a paradigm shift mentally. You're not going to get there. You can't do this an hour like once, twice, thrice a week. It needs a little bit more when you're coming off of square one. After a while, then it's going to flow. And it's not going to be very difficult. And the stuff he's teaching you is just fantastic. You really have it all. You just have to simply enforce your claim. And you have to understand that they're going to come. Why? Because they're going to honor you. They're going to test you. What, do you think God's just going to let the riffraff through? Because that's what we as humans would do. Man, I'm just going to do an acceptance on value and get rid of that. I'm back out with the babes and the nightclubs and whatever else. Or out lying, cheating, stealing, those kinds of things. And that's unacceptable. You're not getting through easy. God is pretty particular. It's not a joke. He's not going to mess around. And if you think you get a pass, these judges they're never going to tell you did good. It's not their job. They couldn't do their job. Man, when we get into some other stories, like I'm going to tell you some ones I did just one or two, and then
no, you're doing fine. You're doing fine. It's actually perfect. Keep going, because then we're about almost at the time for a break. So you go about 10 more minutes, and we'll just take a break after that.
Let's go some offer and acceptance that I did, and because it's really magical. It's wild. I'm going through an Oklahoma transfer station one time with the feds, and everybody has to line up along the wall and then give a name and a number and get a picture and that kind of thing. So I'm standing in the line, and the guy at the desk says, get your butt up there. I want to use a tetragram, a four-letter word. He says, get your so-and-so up there. I says, I won't be availing myself of your services this evening. I didn't know. I was just practicing getting into this stuff, and so I'm going to test it. Let's rock and roll, see what you got. I says, I'm not going to be availing myself of your service. He says, I told you to get your MF and so-and-so up there. I says, well, by what authority?
Questions. They're all questions.
He says, yes.
Could you put the microphone closer to your mouth?
Excuse me. He's trying to
He's trying to find
little
the
guidance
right
here,
spot.
I'm okay with this stuff, I don't know. So, he next goes, I told you, blah, 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 blah. I said, are you threatening me? Just I went like, no, are you threatening me? He gets up on the desk with his knuckles, and he says, right I am. I says, by what authority? Right? You got to have authority. Where's the agreement we do? Now, of course, by then, everybody kind of backed away. Hey, there's something. Something's going to go off. You're in a, something's going to happen here to somebody, right? And believe me, I'm, very anticipatory about, I'm going to maybe get thumped here. We'll see, though. I'm going to try and stay in honor. He comes roaring behind from that desk, comes up to my face and goes, could you please step over here, sir? I thought for sure he was going to whack me, but if I'd have squared up or done anything, isn't that a sign that I want to fight? So I said, I just got to hold real still and be real humble, and that's what I did. And then he turned into Dr. Jekyll. And of course, he asked politely, I got to get out of the way, they're processing people. Then there was 15 more hours, a lot of fun, because they couldn't get me into the building. I was practicing. One of the other times I'm going through, at one of the prisons, they didn't have a hole where I spent a lot of time. They didn't have a hole. And so whenever somebody got in a fight or trouble, you had to go down to the county jail. So I got in a physical altercation with a big Samoan. And we had a little go-round, and of course you got to go to the hole for that. Doesn't care who started it. So we go to the hole. Now I end up being transferred later in the evening, and I go out with about 13 other guys who don't have bed space. So it's just me as a disciplinary guy and 13 guys without bed space. We get to this Graham County Jail, and they go, first guy's in line, name, number, blah, blah, get over, get the uniform, get a picture, because they got to book you, process you in. I step up, and the guy says, blah, blah, blah. I says, well, I won't be availing myself of your services this evening. I'm just practicing again. I'm going to try something. Because I still didn't understand to ask a question. I'm now making a statement, being in dishonor. He says, now that there's 2 guards from the prison with us. And he goes, what? And I repeat it, and the guard goes, he's one of those. I don't know what one of those meant then. I still don't today, because it's kind of interesting. But he's one of those. Would you please have a seat, sir? I said, why, sure. So I went and sat down. They processed everybody through, cleared the whole receiving and discharge area, and now I've got 6 deputy sheriffs standing in front of me. And he says, all right, what's this about? I says, well, do you have a bona fide claim to hold me? He says, we have a contract with Safford. That's the name of the prison. I says, am I a party to that contract? He goes, you an attorney? We then go on, and I start doing all sorts of stuff. Like I said, well, gentlemen, did you take an oath of office? 2 of them go, yeah. I said, do you know what that oath says? Article 6, Clause 3 of the Constitution states in pertinent part, and all executive and judicial officers, both of the United States and of the several states, shall be bound by oath or affirmation to support this Constitution. And I happen to know what this Constitution says. And so I then ripped off a couple of amendments to him. And he goes, and they're getting, pretty soon he goes, you get your ass up against that wall or we're going to taser gun you and force you. Now, wasn't that a nice offer? I says, are you threatening me? He goes, oh, no, 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 no. Wow, that was different than the other one. But that's all right. It's just test. And pretty soon I got 6 semi-threatening officers going, man, we got to put you in a cell, man. I didn't know what to say or do. You know, I got up and walked back to the cell with them. They didn't even threaten me. They just said, but man, we got to put, you know. I said, God, they're like kids all of a sudden, because they went from threatening adults. But by conditional acceptance. Conditional acceptance is always a counteroffer. And another definition of counteroffer that's I really like, that's simple for me to understand. You've legally rejected it. You've made it happen. Of course, that then makes you the offerer, making them the offeree. And what did you just do for them? Well, you honored them. You gave them the power of acceptance. You've honored them. That's the importance of that. You gave them the honor of paying the check. Because that's what a sovereign would do, right? Here, no, no, let me give you the honor. No, 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 you have the honor. Got to go low to get high. Jack Smith teaches you that. And it'll take a while for some of this to process in. But oh, the stories are endless. One time I'm on the compound, I got a leather weight belt. All the guys are saying, oh man, Hall, get rid of that weight belt. Man, hide it, they're going to take it from you. I said, you think so? He says, yeah, they're taking them. You know, there's only a few of them on the compound, and yeah, they're taking them. I said, well, we'll see. So I'm out there lifting one evening, and along comes a CO, and he says, hey, you. I'm not paying any attention. I'm not you, so. So I'm doing my thing, and he keeps going, hey, you. And all of a sudden, all the buddies I'm with go, man, he's talking to you. I said, you think I'm deaf? Shut up. I said, what would you like? He says, when you get done with that set, come over here. I can't do my set of squats, so I take off the belt, put it in the bag. I walk over and says, how can I help you? He says, give me that belt. I says, who are you? Now, I'm not going to use his name, but he goes, Smith. I says, first name, Mike. They never give the first name. They're not supposed to do that. But see, authority's talking. He just blurted it out like anybody. So he says, give me that belt. I says, by what authority? Wants to take my private property. By what authority? I just asking a question. We got an audience now, so he says, could you come in here and talk to me? He's heads this carpentry shop area. So we go in, and on his, there's a big workbench there, and I walk in, and he's standing there, and I'm standing here, and I set the belt in my bag right on the bench. And he says, give me that belt. I says, it's right there. Go ahead, take it. It's $10,000. He says, I'm giving you a direct order. I says, it's right there. It's 10 grand. Go ahead, take it. He says, do I need to call the warden? I says, what do I need the warden for?
Does he have 10 grand?
He goes, what's wrong with you? That's a legitimate question. Slaves are supposed to obey. Something's wrong here. I mean, go. Pretty soon he says, do you know the Zimmer law? I says, what care I of the Zimmer law? That's an old law that was a rider on a bill that supposedly took away the TVs, the weight belts and weights and all. But it wasn't. It's just, he's throwing something out for an argument. I'll give you the Walmart one in a little bit here. It's beautiful. He's just wanting an argument. I'm not giving him one. He says, come with me. And he walks all the way around the bench over about 20 feet to go in his office to show me the Zimmer law on the computer. And I'm just standing here. He gets over there and he looks back and goes, what's wrong with you? I told you to get over here. I says, by what authority? What authority are you giving me a command? I'm being very serious. I'm not just being cute or funny. Think about what I'm saying. This is very serious. He goes, would you please come over here? I says, well, in that case, sure. He was being civil and very nice. Absolutely, I'm going to go over there. Because he said, please. And he was being nice about it. It's very strange behavior. I get over there and he gets on the computer and he flips around and he goes, I tell you what, will you just wear that weight belt under your t-shirt for me whenever you're out on the weight pile? I said, why, sure. And that's what I did henceforth. Got to keep my weight belt. Of course, then there came a time when one of the guards wanted to take my chess set. Little jippy.
First tell them where you got the chess set.
Well, I got it out of the rec department. I guess you might think it's their chess set, but I happen to know it's the government's chess set, and I happen to know I'm the government. Right? So, I'm out there playing chess with it, and the guard comes, he says, where's your rec pass? I says, what do I need a rec pass for my private chess set for? I had a buddy in the rec department, you just get him, I ain't gonna get a pass, forget that. Because if I don't want to return it, I don't want to return it. And you know, when you're certain connected on the compound, you get to do any kind of stuff you want, sort of. So, he says, if you don't got a rec pass, I'm gonna take it. You know, God said, agree with him, right? Go ahead. It's 20,000 for the pieces, 10,000 for the board, 10,000 for the trespass. That'll be to you personally and the warden, joint and several. He says, no problem. I said, great. Now I got to do due process. So I go see his boss, the lieutenant. I say, LT, blah, 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 blah. He goes, you better go see the captain. I says, okay, 40 grand to you too. I go see the captain. He says, oh, you better go see the AW. I go see the AW. AW says, you better go see the warden. They know me. So I go see the warden. Warden looks at me, hears it. He says, go see the captain. I already saw the captain, right? So what was he looking for? What was he going to judge me on? Merits, right? He wants an argument. Oh my goodness, I don't want to be in dishonor. I says, is that your final answer? He says, yes. I says, then you won't mind if I seek formal resolution, will you? He says, no, not at all. Okay, great. I then did my three-part process, gave him a notice, private international remedy demand, gave him a notice of fault, opportunity to cure, and a default and dishonor. Now, the compound decided they're going to make everybody wear name tags. Oh, I can't do that. So me and my buddy that are in this, well, we can't do that, so we go to the hole. So we're in the hole about a month, and along comes a unique guy who's representing the warden. He says, hey, warden wants to know where you want your chess set. I says, what chess set? He says, your chess set. I says, I don't have a chess set. I got a $40,000 receivable. He says, it was really pretty good. He says, it's like that? I says, well, hey, who am I to disabuse him of his, if he's allowed to make a contract, what can I tell you? I said, but I do love your warden. I did. Wouldn't you love anybody pay you 40 grand for a $10 chess set? Any of you got a old sock you want to sell me for 40 grand? You're going to think I'm your best friend. As a matter of fact, I love that guy. He's so stupid. Right? So, I says, I'll tell you what. I got 18 months to go. I said, I'd like to have the drug program. Because I could get a year off, but I don't qualify because I've never touched drugs. And I said, I'm stuck in the hole and I want out and I'm not going to wear the name tag. But we'll wear a coat over the shirt and the pants so whenever I'm on the compound. And the agreement was we wouldn't stir up any other inmates not to wear the name tag. So we had a deal. So he says, I'll go check with the warden. He comes back and says, you got a deal. Aha. We got let out right away. Next day, coming out of the chow hall, big CO pulls me up and says, hey, Hall. I says, what you want? I'll use Smith again. What you want, Smith? Because that's respectful. Just use their last name. You don't say Mr. Smith or CO Smith unless you're kind of weak. So what you want, Smith? He says, you got your name tag on? I says, why? He says, you better have it on. I says, yeah, and? So a little conversation went back and forth, and he leaves. Next day, he pulls me up again. He says, Hall. I says, what you want, Smith? He says, you got your name tag on? I said, why? He says, you're going to the hole if you don't. I says, with the cuffs and everything? He leaves again. Third day, he pulls me up. He says, I want you to know I wasn't kidding you. I said, I didn't think you were. And I'm being very humble. And although the comments aren't the best, I wasn't being joking either with him. This is very serious. Third time, he says, I want you to know that Your guys, if any of you, I was teaching classes then, if any of your guys lean me up, I've got an attorney on staff, I'm going to seize their commissary account. I said, I understand. He didn't threaten me. He just let me know indirectly through that. I says, I understand perfectly. What just happened? They just wanted to make sure I wanted to stay. Didn't the warden just cut a deal with me? I could have said, gee, but I got to deal with the warden said I didn't have, blah, 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 blah. What door is that?
Argue.
I got a commercial presentment. So we're right back to merits. Did I merit not having to wear that tag? Yes. But guess what happened? A week later, I want to get in the drug program that starts in another week. So I go to this guy that negotiated with the warden. I said, hey, I don't see my name on the drug list. Transfer me over to the drug building where I can get out of here. And a year early by taking this course. He says, I'll check with the warden. He comes back and he says, warden changed his mind. Wants to see if you can lean him up. Now, what should I do? What door should I go through with that one? Or what door did I go through, maybe? Well, I said, I accept.
I'll lean him up.
Let me see if I can do one of these liens I've been learning and studying about. Let's see if, like Romans 8:28, and we know that all things work together for good to them that love God. This got to be working good. I accept. I then was successful in getting it filed on a UCC and that kind of thing. And all of a sudden, the warden had a problem. A serious problem. He was trying to get financing and he couldn't get it on some of his properties and things. Very excellent warden, I might add. The best. Huge on disciplinary. He knew all the inmates, 1,200 of them, about personally. I think this guy took his job serious. If I ever owned a prison, he's the man I want. He was good. So he goes ahead and he wants to see if I can lean him up. I finish that up. He doesn't like it, so he takes it into federal district court. And sua sponte, the court issues an order. We have no authority over the commercial code of the state, and denied him. Sent me the order. I said, yeah, this is great. He then put on Department of Justice letterhead stationery. If you don't get that, take that lien off me, I'm going to seek civil or criminal penalties. Is that a threat? Sure it is. It's an expression of intention to cause harm or punishment, isn't it? So I simply put in a show cause order with the federal district court. Just want to know why he maybe should not be arrested and removed from office. And he was. Woo! My life at that compound got real easy after that. But I didn't dishonor them. If you follow these processes, I'm telling you, the merits, that's where it's all going to fall on you, ladies and gentlemen. The merits. We're all going to be able to get Brandon or some other talented guy to write up our little deal. And even if you do it sloppily, it's still going to go through. But can you hold your mud? Can you get in there with the claim and make sure it stays as a claim? What's a claim? To demand or ask for as rightfully belonging or due to one. You owe me $50. Well, I can't rightfully say that. Well, if I send him a bill about watching his neighborhood for the last year and he ignores it, and I do a second and a third one, and he owes me $50. All I got to do is enforce it. Yes?
So in prison, you had no problem getting the forms and papers like that? You just requested and they come to you?
What forms would I request? All I need's a weapon of mass destruction and a piece of paper. I don't use their forms. I wouldn't dare. All I need is paper. Postage stamp and an envelope. I can get those things.
How did you get things filed with the courts?
Well, remember, I'm in court, so when I'm sending the warden his notices, it's by certified mail. And another story I'll be telling you what you do when they won't send your stuff out certified mail. That gets to be interesting too, and gets to be a lot of fun. You'll find that you're going to be tested in so many different ways. But what form? What stuff? All I did was in court, I sent certified mail back and forth. He's the one that took it into court to see if he can get that thing knocked off, because the lien came, I filed it with the UCC, had a friend get it and put a UCC on this guy, filed it with the UCC division, Secretary of State. So now it's public notice. After a certain time, it goes public, and he's got it on his credit report. Then what happens? Now it's affecting him. So he goes to federal district court. Inmates can't do this. Wasn't an inmate that did it to him. It was a sovereign that did it to him.
Well, how are you able to lien him?
What is a lien? Isn't that, well, a lien, isn't that simply just a claim on the, as security on the property of blah, blah, yeah, I forgot, I'm a little fossil, but.
Isn't it done with forms?
What forms?
Oh,
All I did was make a mention of it on the UCC.
Yeah, he's talking about the UCC 1 financing.
I had to use the standard state UCC form and fill it out and have somebody file it for me on the outside, yes. So
Brought it for you.
Huh?
So someone brought it for you to fill out?
One of the guys, no staff did. We all had forms inside, our own forms from cracking the code book and this and that people have sent us here and there, that kind of thing. I will tell you that in some of the higher rated prisons, the USPs, they no longer allow any of this kind of stuff in because the inmates there are leaning up people without due process. They don't understand due process. And therefore, they're dishonoring and they're abusing the system and the process. But that's what happens with slaves. They hear about a little something and they just run off. That's what I'm telling you. Don't run off. Get an understanding of what you're doing and why you're doing it. And what are you going to do when they come visit you? Because they're going to come visit you someday. Sure, it's just a response by letter and phone now, but the test has to get tougher. But it's not going to be tough. Brandon's got some great stories about them coming to his place. I was over at Brandon's place. Yeah, I like that. The kingdom of Melchizedek is posted in his window. But let's go to the underlying principle. What is being done there? That's a notice. That means they're going to have to leave their badges and guns. That's why I don't want to meet at Brandon's house. Let's go meet at Denny's. Yeah, it's a lot safer.
Yeah, the Treasury agent, he had already been by my house and he had left a card in my door. And you know, we were coordinating a meeting between us over the phone. And I go, well, where do you want to meet? He goes, well, what about at your residence? I go, that's fine. I go, come on over. He goes, oh, wait, how about we meet somewhere else, like a coffee shop? Because he remembered the sign that was there. And basically, because I'm a government official of a foreign government, and the law is no contraband is allowed within the territory of my house. So he would have to leave his gun, his badge, and everything else at my door. He would not be allowed to bring it in the house. That's just the way the law is in my territory.
Whose house was it? Can you tell me?
Diplomatic mission.
It's a diplomatic mission.
Are you sure it's his house? He didn't own it. He rents.
Yeah.
There's property tax on it. Is it his house?
No,
Oh, I think it's his house. Do you know why?
because I claim it.
Because he said it was. So what are they going to do? Disagree? Go through door 4, door 3?
International law.
Do a conditional acceptance or straight acceptance? It's his house because he says it is.
I know, and international law says so as well. That
That's right.
that the resident, sorry, that the residence of an ambassador or any diplomatic official is technically considered a
And what's the residence?
diplomatic mission.
And what's the residence
Actually,
of a sovereign?
I'm sorry. It is no longer a residence. It's a domicile.
No, you were right with that. I like what you said. I told you another definition for residence is wherever he is.
This is my
So that's a
residence right now.
residence of a sovereign in that context. If I ask you to
Domicile.
define run for me, do you think you can do it? If you're an athlete, you might say it means, you know, moving faster than a walk down the street.
If you're a
What are
computer
you talking
programmer,
about? I'm a mechanic. I'm talking about the motor running. The doctor over here is talking about the nose running. The politician is talking about running for office. Without context of words, what you think words mean, don't be so quick to judge a word. Perfect. Yeah, it means flawless, but also means complete or whole. That would give rise to, in the Bible, when God says, be ye therefore perfect, even as your Father in heaven. He didn't tell you to be flawless. He told you to be whole and complete. How can you be whole and complete if you're unconscious? Yeah, you know, an interesting definition of conscious in the dictionary. I told you, I go look up all the words. Awake to one's surroundings and identity. What a strange definition from Webster's. Conscious is awake to one's surroundings and identity. Who are you? Who are you?
I am that I am.
Very good. You're certainly not a name. So when you're doing this, if you got to know who you are, who you aren't, who they are. I always have 4 questions like when I'm teaching people. I says, I don't think you know who you are, who you aren't, where you live, and what your country is. I said, try and answer it. Well, I'm Mike Smith. I said, okay, you don't know who you are and you don't know who you aren't. I says, where do you live? So I live in California or San Diego or something. I said, okay, you don't know where you live. And what's your country? He says, United States. So you don't know your country either. Think you can answer all 4 questions? Who are you? I am that I am. So you now know you're not, what is your name? The name you use. So you know you're not Richard. So you got the first 2 right. Where do you live?
I am where I am. I live here.
Live is defined as the mental and physical experiences of an individual. Where do you have all your mental and physical experiences, Richard? Within the confines of the skin or in the body. That's right. You live wherever you are, but if you wanted to answer, and you know your country, California or Texas or that, you know that the United States isn't. So once you know who you are, who you aren't, where you live, and you start learning what words mean and separating this, it really gets great. And it's going to be rough on you because you just can't imagine. They're not going to beat you up. They won't. I can't tell you how many times I've been threatened to be gassed, tasered, and never once. And nor was I ever roughed up. Whenever I conducted myself, I thought I was going to get roughed up so many times. But never. And let me tell you, that's when the faith comes in. You better stick on your deal and don't flinch. You know, and I've been a guest of Sheriff Joe Arpaio, who's a friend of mine, out of Arizona. And I've been through so many institutions, and I've had so much fun with it. I got one thing to say about these public servants. Without them and all those tests, I wouldn't have the knowledge I have today. You're going to get your test. You have to. Yeah, I know. Ugh. I don't want that. Hey, well, you think God's going to count you without a little bit of testing? Hey, but if you hold strong, don't worry. It's like if I got stopped on the freeway the other day. Police officer comes up to the window. You're doing 82, sir. I says, and? License and registration. I says, may I see some identification? He says, what do you want to see my ID for? I said, are you refusing to identify yourself? He says, sir, I'm going to give you a warning. You have a nice day. Now, don't you do this. I'm telling you, don't do it. If you say it and I say it, it's going to come out different. How about I go say, well, you know, I'm sovereign and you can't do this. Your attitude, your confidence, your spirit. I'm going to tell you, there's a lot of times I've been in things, and before something comes off like that, I bow my head and say a quick prayer. Father, please, guide me through this that I may honor these people. It's no joke. And don't you try these things. I'm warning you. I met one guy at Safford Prison. He got an extra 6 years on his sentence for trying some of this stuff. Was going to get 10 years and got 16. I went and met him. He was in the case books. I said, what do you think? He said, man, that crap, man. He told me the whole story. He was in a county jail, and he met a sovereign, and he learned a bunch of the stuff from him, going through his case and doing real good. And, you know, when they gave him a guilty verdict finally, he accepted it for value, and the judge came out and sat across from him and said, in a private hearing, what do you want? He said, I want you to release me. Judge Kant said, denied, gave him an extra 6 years for fiddling around with something he shouldn't have been fiddling around with. Because what happened is the guy that was helping him in the county jail got transferred, and he got hung out in the middle. That's like an airplane guy who's teaching you to fly, and then, you know, you're up, and all of a sudden a big storm comes up, you never done it, and he says, well, I got to go, gets on his parachute and jumps out the door. If you haven't been trained for that, you're not going to like the results. So I'm encouraging you to please consider deep study, prayer.
Just step up.
And all of the other things that are requisite for a little bit of this. Because it's not going to be difficult. If 2, 3 months to 6 months, you're going to be really pros at it if you put a little bit of time into it. It doesn't require a lot, but at least some. What are you listening to in the car? Well, you know, I love to carry my cue cards in the car, so I'm like memorizing when I'm driving, and you know, I'm looking at the thing, looking at the car, you know. And to memorize these things, because you have to burn it in. All law emanates from contractor agreement, and this, and this, and this. And pretty soon, it's burned into your mind also. The concepts, the principles, and it gets real easy. It is as he says. I got it when I read out of a 1906 set of law books. One of the guys, I was the study guy, so all these guys are buying me books off the internet and stuff and having them sent in. And and you're not allowed to have hardback books sent in, but the mailroom gal liked my buddy a lot, so she let all of his hardback books come through. I tell you can get all sorts of anything going on in a prison. It gets kind of fun. And it said thusly, almost the whole procedure of human life implies, or rather is, the continual fulfillment of contracts. What is the purpose of law? It's to bring harmony. We need laws because people cannot control themselves. That's all there is to it. Teddy Roosevelt said it. And this is a 1907 quote. I had to do this one, sorry. We of this mighty Western Republic have to grapple with it, and think how apropos this is for today. This is 1907, Jamestown Exposition. We of this mighty Western Republic have to grapple with the dangers that spring from popular self-government tried on a scale incomparably vaster than ever before in the history of mankind, and from an abounding material prosperity greater also than anything which the world has hitherto seen. As regards the first set of dangers, it behooves us to remember that men can never escape being governed. Either they must govern themselves or submit to being governed by others. If from lawlessness or fickleness, from folly or self-indulgence they refuse to govern themselves, then most assuredly, in the end, they will have to be governed from the outside. They can prevent the need of government from without only by showing they possess the power of government from within. A sovereign cannot make excuses for his failures. A sovereign must accept the responsibility for the exercise of power that inheres in him. And whereas is true in our republic, the people are sovereign. And he goes on, and the people are sovereign, and therefore they must show a sober understanding and a sane and steadfast purpose if they are to preserve that orderly liberty upon which, as a foundation, every republic must rest. Interestingly, the dictionary is a Random House I read the other day. It defined United States. A republic in northwestern hemisphere comprising 48 conterminous states. That means the contiguous together states here. And the District of Columbia, and Alaska in North America, and Hawaii in North Pacific. It says it's a republic, yes. It gets confusing. I thought we said it was a corporation. Last one, I give it to you. Supreme Court said in Hooven and Allison versus EVAT 1945, this is the last time we're going to define United States. And they went on to say, the term United States may be used in any one of several senses. It may be merely the name of a sovereign occupying the position analogous to that of other sovereigns in the family of nations. It may designate the territory over which the authority, over the sovereignty of which the United States extends. And third, it may be the collective name of the states which are united by and under the Constitution. And then, of course, United States Codes Annotated defines United States 31 different ways. What? Yes, context again. If you know how to read statutes and those things, you have to go to the front of the title. It'll say definitions. We're going to redefine words in this. So in this Title 5 or Title 18 or Title 12, it'll say United States shall mean Samoa and District of Columbia. Go over to Title 8, it might say United States shall mean the conterminous 48 states and District of Columbia. But they give 31 combinations. So it's not confusing once you get the basics and the rules, as with everything. So I'll turn it back over to Brandon, and excuse my verbosity.
Okay, you get it? Alrighty. You guys want to take a break? Yeah. Okay, hold on. Let's do 20 minutes. So we'll convene back here, 9:26.
I mean, I got some stuff in the car.
Oh, wait. What's that? Hold on. You guys on the phone have something?
It's kind of almost.